Well, they're at home, they're playing well, and they're undefeated. So the question genuinely needs to be asked, can Shaun Wayne's England team go one better than they did back in 2017 and hoist the trophy aloft at the end of this year's Rugby League World Cup? And while the win against Samoa was a clear statement of intent and they barely put a foot wrong in a dominant display, looking at their round 2 win against France offers a more accurate reflection, I think, on the problems that they need to overcome if they're to go all the way in this year's tournament. And while their attack was smooth and efficient, their defense, especially in the closing stages of each half, was a particular liability and something that desperately needs to be addressed, especially within their own 20-metre zone. All of the tries that they conceded against France were arguably pretty soft, and you would expect a team that thinks they're a genuine chance of winning this championship to have a higher standard. They're also at home, which is a huge advantage for them, both in terms of climate and the fans. They're going to have the majority of support and a more sold-out stadium every time they take the field. But they also have a world-class spine with a great mix of youth and experience. Of course, I've been very impressed by Jack Welsby. If you read my World Cup preview, you'll know that he was top of the list for players to keep an eye out for in this tournament. He didn't even start against France, and he's still sitting with 4 try assists from just 2 appearances so far. And he was a big part of the reason for their incredible start against Samoa as well. The NRL contingent are all firing, with Dom Young scoring 2 more tries, including a fantastic 95-metre intercept against the French, and Herbie Farnworth playing really well as well, with Ryan Hall on his outside this time. They still linked up very well. Victor Radley is getting better by the game. He scored a try against France as well. Elliot Whitehead has been in sensational touch for the national team, although he rarely isn't. And then, of course, Luke Thompson from the Canterbury Bulldogs is also playing very well. And they're all respected players with great abilities that we know of, but there are so many other players in this England squad that we as NRL fans are probably less likely to be aware of, and that makes them a dangerous prospect heading into the knockout stages as well. I think this England side actually looks better. It looks to be playing with more cohesion and freedom than they did back in 2017. Of course, they were a very disciplined side back then, and that paid off, but I think they're not going to sit there wondering this year. They're going to throw caution to the wind when it comes down to it. I think this England side actually look better now than they did back in 2017. That 2017 side had a lot of talent and was incredibly disciplined, but there's something about the attacking and exuberant way that this England side plays that is not only more enjoyable to watch, I think it makes them more of a threat at the attacking end, provided they can fix up their defensive issues. They've got talent all over the park. They can sting you out wide with sheer pace. They've got creative halves. They've got one of the best forward packs in the competition based on what we've seen so far on the field. While I certainly don't want to diminish the Pacific nations who are playing, and they're all going to grow in confidence and ability as the tournament progresses, it's arguable that England, by not having to play Australia or New Zealand, thanks to their win over Samoa, they won't have to meet either the Kangaroos or the Kiwis until the final of the tournament, which means they'll likely play either Samoa again or Tonga in the semi-finals. And they'll fancy their chances after a similar path to the grand final in 2017. So there are a lot of factors lining up to help Shaun Wayne's side get to the grand final, and once they get there, in front of a sold-out crowd, in front of a home crowd, I like their chances more than I did in 2017. But the Australians definitely have the defensive edge, and that's something that they'll need to demonstrate that they can improve on in these next few games if they want to be considered a worthy contender.